Hello, live stream time here at Bodytribe. I hope you can tell, not the greatest weather today. Well, okay, great is a judgment. I think it's beautiful weather, but it's particularly cold and wet today. But I wanted to say hi. We got some stuff to talk about. We are going to talk about the infamous step number 2, and that is how to take what you're doing in your movement practice and your training in particular and apply it to life. Because it doesn't automatically happen no matter what we're told. In other words, we train for movement and we train for skills, but hopefully there's purpose behind those movement and skills. I'm sorry I keep peering out over in this direction, but the weather is just amazing. There's these clouds coming into the valley, and I can't stop looking at it. Easily distracted today. Sorry about that. So let's start by talking about the recipe of transformation, as I call it. It's important to understand the steps it takes to create transformation, because that's why we train. And so the recipe for transformation, I believe, is 3 key things, and that is intensity, consistency, and purpose. Intensity, it's the spark that starts the fire. Consistency spreads the fire, grows the fire, and purpose directs the fire. Otherwise, it's aimless. We can talk about being consistent, and we can talk about intensity all we want, but without that third ingredient of purpose, who knows where it's going to go? Transformation is not necessarily a good thing always. Transformation can go in either direction, and therefore, without that purpose, we have no aim as to where it goes. And so hopefully, we have to define that. I talk about that all the time. Then I start talking about this big word that I love using, and that's hylomorphism. I go into it quite a bit in my book, Are You Useful? It literally defines as soul body. It's an old Greek term. Aristotle, I think, could be credited for popularizing it, if it was ever popular.
Okay, so hylomorphism is this belief that human beings are made of both matter, hyle, and then there's a structure to matter given by mind or soul. A hylomorphist would be somebody who does not think that we're like minds inside of bodies. But actually what it means to be a human being is to be, now you're going to push 2 words together and try to make it 1 word in English. We are mind bodies. So if you say that real quick together, you can make it sound as if it's 1 word. We're mind bodies, or we're soul bodies. Thinking of one integral unit there, bringing together, say, a physical pole on the one hand and a mental pole on the other, but it's one fundamental reality.
It's the physical and metaphysical as one. Physical and metaphysical, meta being beyond physical, as one. You could call it the mind, body, spirit, finishing each other's sentences. They all work together. And if mind, body, spirit is a little too Ram Dass for you, perhaps physical, cognitive, and emotional work better as terms. Same things, just different language. We can easily see the negative version of it. If you were to tell me that you were stressed out, would that be physical, cognitive, or emotional? Mind, body, or spirit? Yeah, it's a little bit of all, isn't it? It's all of them working together to bring you down, to go to a bad place, go to a dark place. So I'm hoping when we talk about movement and training, our goal is to aim for the positive version of hylomorphism, where mind, body, spirit, cognitive, physical, cognitive, and emotional are all jiving off each other. In fact, when you start being aware of this process, you understand that when one starts to decrease in value or drop out of the equation, the other 2 are going to suffer. And the truth is, when you bring one up, when you bring it up properly, the other 2 will grow as well. It's the tribal connection of all 3 of those things. Well, what's groovy about training is that it has this hylomorphic connection. Well, hopefully it can. It's waiting to be exploited.
It should be something that fosters hylomorphism in the best sense of the term, that you would engage in athletics not as a purely physical pursuit, but as an activity that is integrally connected with your mental and spiritual life as well.
But it's not an automatic process. And no matter what brand or category you're loyal to, there is no guarantee that we're going to find this hylomorphic process. That's sort of what I'm talking about when I talk about the recipe of transformation. When we start talking about the purpose of transformation, it's hopefully to achieve a better connection with ourselves, a hylomorphic connection with ourselves. We are woefully disconnected as a society from here. We do not understand our bodies. We do not listen to our bodies. We do not spend time in our bodies. Instead, we tend to ignore our bodies or control our bodies and demand and abuse our bodies, but we're rarely in talks with them, in communication with them, or living with them, or letting them do what they're supposed to do and what they want to do. One of the key phrases I often mention to people is let it happen, don't make it happen, because your body wants to move in many ways for many reasons. When we let it, it's going to tell us, it's going to give us a guide as to how to let it. This gets in the way way too often. Without certain catalysts in place, that recipe for transformation, that hylomorphic connection, simply won't level up. They won't get there. We'll train, we'll work out, we'll get sweaty, we will build muscle, we will probably build our heart rate up, we will get some of the physical benefits, but the true connection with our body isn't there. The body gets better in some basic surface level ways. But to delve deeper with the connection with it, to then be able to take the body on the mission of becoming, that's going to require that little hylomorphic connection. And so we turn to the great and wonderful and wise South Park for the keys to this. Now, if you've read my book, or if you've read Are You Useful, in fact, I think I probably mentioned it in all my books, but if you read Are You Useful, or you've been to any of my workshops, you've heard me talk about this. And that is the infamous underpants gnomes. Now, this is old school South Park. This is 20 plus years ago South Park. The underpants gnomes stole underpants. And the kids wanted to figure out why the underpants gnomes were stealing underpants. So they followed the underpants gnomes to their underpants lair.
Damn, dude, this place is huge. Yeah, it's almost as big as Cartman's ass. No, it isn't, you guys.
Why are you stealing the underpants, they asked.
You see, phase 1, collect underpants. Phase 2, phase 3, profit.
Oh, I get it. No, you don't, fat ass.
And I saw this as the perfect, ridiculous metaphor for how we treat fitness and how the fitness industrial complex sells us workouts. Step 1, workout. Step 2, step 3, a better you.
Oh, I get it. No, you don't, fat ass.
We're told through all the advertising that we're going to somehow get better through working out. It just happens. Better, right? If you have more muscle, you're better. If you have a better heart and better cardiovascular capacity, you're better. If you have better work capacity, you're better. It's a better you. I have been in this industry 26-ish years now, and I can tell you that is absolutely not true. In other words, there's no direct correlation between working out and a better you.
So what's phase 2?
Point being, what is that step number 2? To make a better version of us. Which, by the way, if we were to boil down everybody's goals, everybody has a different goal, and yet we don't. We all have the exact same goal, and that's make a better version of ourselves. That better you.
Well, we can explain that to you easily. Yes, for a price.
What?
You know.
Underpants?
Underpants!
How we think it's supposed to manifest is where our individuality comes in.
Underpants!
How the better us is supposed to manifest is influenced heavily by external sources, unfortunately. So if we can find our own purpose by finding our own value system, as I've talked about millions of times before, define our value system, define what strength means, define what fitness means, and train within our value system, then we can find our own version of what it is to be a better version of us. But how are we going to get there if step number 2 doesn't exist? The fitness world doesn't have a step number 2 for us, so we have to figure it out for ourselves. So with that in mind, of course, I have what I believe could be a beneficial step number 2. I mentioned purpose all the time, right? So here's my modified version of step number 1 through 3. Step number 1, work out with purpose. Step number 2, create awareness of self, perpetuating a greater understanding, respect, and appreciation of our relationship with our bodies. And then step number 3, a better you. Piece of cake, right? I'll expand on this step number 2. There's, of course, the 3 Ps that I talk about all the time. Be precise, be present, be purposeful. 3 Ps. Got a lot of Ps. Love my alliteration. There's also turning judgment into observation. That's a big one. And find joy and appreciation. Which leads me, yes, I have notes here because, I don't remember this stuff. I just write it. So the 3 Ps, be precise, be present, be purposeful. They're all about awareness. I mean, that's the whole goal of them. The concept of awareness in general is quickly disappearing in the age of the swipe. Going back to Ram Dass a little bit, I have to exist in myself. So that's why I created the 3 Ps for myself to meditate on. Be precise, be present, be purposeful. While you're training, those 3 things connect you with yourself. The next one was judgment into observation. Turn judgment into observation. We're not being helped by media on this, but anything that enters our brain has the potential to be judged. And as soon as it's judged, it will have an effect on our system. Our system will react to it somehow. And our system, in this case, for the training, being our body. And therefore, if we can observe rather than judge, the body then has no reaction to it, doesn't care. If you're about to lift something heavy, let's say there's a barbell in front of you, and you're about to pick up a barbell, it's heavy. I don't know, you're going to clean it, deadlift it, snatch it. I don't know what you're going to do, but you're going to lift a heavy barbell. You grab the barbell, and within the first millisecond of starting to pick it up, you realize that bar is heavy. Now you have 2 choices here. You can judge it as heavy, or you can observe it as heavy. With that judgment of heavy, your body will react. And uh-oh, there's a dog fight going on in front of me. Hey, both of you. Shh. Hi, I know, it's super fun. When our brain judges something as heavy, heavy is usually something to react to with a sense of a danger or apprehension. There's definitely a somatic response where we're probably going to fight or flight it somehow. And so it can turn into ultimately a hormonal response where our body simply reacts in some way that weight is probably not coming up. I've seen this a lot in Olympic weightlifting, training for Olympic weightlifting. You're about to do a snatch, and that first pull, you judge it as heavy. The second and third pull are not going to happen. Your body reacts to it in a way that's somehow going to dampen the process. What if you just observe it as heavy? Once you observe it as heavy, who cares? The body doesn't react to observations. The body doesn't care about that. The body understands that it's doing its thing. Judgment is when the brain interferes with the process. Observation is letting the body go through the process without hindering it in any way. It's easy to observe something as heavy because, oh yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm here to pick up something heavy. Oh well. And if we can start applying that to other aspects of our life, we can move better. We can actually move through life better. We'll have a better connection with this. And this is something to bring up. The body learns movement faster than the brain. The body learns movement not only faster than the brain, but better than the brain. The brain is famous for getting in the way. There's a 3-part learning system for movement. And the first part is cognitive, where the brain has to be involved, because the brain has to come up with the checklist of how to do the thing. If you're going to do a deadlift or an Olympic lift or something, just as an example, the brain has to come up with a checklist. Okay, you lock this in place, you put these hands here, and you put your feet here, and you get your body. Checklist, checklist, checklist. Down the checklist, the brain is involved. The second process is what's called the association phase, the associative phase, where we take that list and we summarize it really quickly into a cue or a word, and that way the brain processes the information a lot quicker to let the body do its thing. So for instance, you'll hear trainers yelling at their athletes some various cue. Maybe it's when you're about to deadlift. Stay tight is a classic one, which is kind of a funny one too when you think about it, but stay tight. And that's telling the athlete, that's the checklist. Go through all the things. Lats are on, booties on, bellies on. Okay, all the things are in place. Stay tight. And it's condensing that list into a quick phase so the body can get to its job faster. And then the final phase is the automatic or autonomous phase, where the body just knows how to do it, get the brain out of the way. If you saw any of those interviews with Michael Jordan, he talks about all the shots he did, the thousands and thousands of shots he did. that was going through those first two phases to get to that last phase. The more we train, the more we have this awareness, the more we have this hylomorphic connection with our body, the quicker we get to this process of the brain hopefully getting out of the way and letting the body do its thing. Let it happen, don't make it happen. The big key component of that, again, is kicking judgment out of there. So if we can get judgment out of the way, if we get the brain out, we'll let the body do its thing, and it becomes a much quicker an awesome process that will then start to cross over to the rest of the world. That's the kind of training that we take to the rest of the world. It's not just the muscles worked and the tendons strengthened and the joints made better and the understanding of certain movements. It's also the understanding of letting the body run the show sometimes. I got a comment. Hey, look, Faye, hi. The brain wants to figure it out and make sense of things, and the body wants to experience it. Yeah, big time, right? This wants to know best. It wants to run the show. It wants to be the important factor of our movement game. Meanwhile, the body, who has one job, that's to move. All the systems of the body are so it can move. Everything from the wire system to the electronic system to the fuel system. All of it is in place so it can move. That's why we have this. And so it wants to experience it. It wants to move in many ways for many reasons, as I keep mentioning. If it has one job, it wants to do that job in as many ways as possible, and it wants to do that job as best as it can. It wants to, as you just said, experience. This is ultimately curious, and this is never lazy. There's no such thing as a lazy body. That's all up here. So if this is not allowed to be curious because of this, or we believe that this is lazy, which is actually because of this, then we actually have no connection with the body. And believing that this training stuff, this workout stuff, automatically makes that connection is my whole point today. It doesn't. We need these things in place. So step number 2, first is the 3 Ps, be precise, be present, be purposeful. The second one is turn judgment into observation. And the third is find joy and appreciation. Smile when you're moving. When you're in the workout, we get told all the time. I remember as a trainer, I've heard this and I've experienced it. I got here, I forced myself to work out today because I knew I'd feel better afterwards. Let's feel that during. We can. It's real easy to feel that during. Once you begin the movement process, once you begin the training, the lifting, whatever it is you're doing, all you have to do is stop and appreciate for a second. And the easiest way to do that is put a smile on your face. You can be in the middle of the heaviest squat you've ever done, but if you smile during it, you're going to appreciate it a lot more. You're going to have the respect of yourself of what you can do in that moment. Even if you don't achieve those crazy goals we have for each workout. You know, I'm going to win the workout today. I'm going to do the biggest, the bestest, the most I've ever done in this workout. We don't have to do that all the time if we can just respect and appreciate what we can do at this moment. If I don't make the numbers I wanted to make on this particular workout, so what? I can smile and be happy with the fact that I'm here anyway. I'm still building this connection. Me and this and this are doing their thing, and it's awesome. And that kind of appreciation for this brings us closer to it. It's the kind of connection that leaves the gym with you. It's not an ego-based connection, it's just connection. And so those are the big 3 things, the step number 2 that takes us to that step number 3, a better us. So again, it's the be precise, be present, be purposeful, the 3 Ps, turn judgment into observation, find joy and appreciation, or just simply smile. That's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I would love to hear your ideas. At this moment, maybe you don't have them, but come up with them, cultivate them, let them percolate. But I just wanted to get that out today. I wanted to talk about step number 2, and I want you to mull it over. I want you to have a thinking game. The next time you move and groove, can you do the 3 Ps? Can you turn judgment into observation? Do you find it worthwhile to do that? And can you put a smile on your face while you do it? Appreciate yourself. Appreciate yourself. You matter. Treat yourself accordingly. Because guess what? When you do that, you'll treat others accordingly as well. It's kind of groovy that way. Thanks for joining me. Hey, this one was actually kind of quick, I guess. Shorter one. And I rambled a lot. Beautiful Sunday. I hope you get out and enjoy it. Be curious. Be you. Be the most you can. And I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining me. Bye.